Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I am just beyond pleased to have a dear friend of mine, Erin Duckworth, as our Realtor of the Week. Erin, thank you very much for coming. You and Steve are amazing, and I'm happy to have you today.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and it's been far too long
I
since
know.
we've gotten together, hasn't it?
That's right. We just had lunch here a while back, and I'm glad we reconnected.
Yeah.
So for you that don't know Erin, when I know many of you do, she is the team leader at Keller Williams Premier Realty in Woodbury, general manager of Keller Williams in Rochester, or Keller Williams, Premier Realty in Rochester, licensed broker, a pre-licensed instructor. So for all you that are new to this business, get to know this lady, right? She knows the deal. But director of growth and a real estate coach. We've all talked for weeks on how important a real estate coach is. Erin is the pinnacle of what you want to be learning from. So with that glorious title, what do you think?
Well, I think you're too kind, first of all. Far too kind. Some of the things that I'm involved in certainly didn't happen overnight, right? I've been in the business just over 20 years. So I'm really excited to be in the place that I am today, and the majority of my time is spent helping folks really understand the power of real estate and how it can change their lives and build generational wealth. So that's what gets me excited and gets me up in the morning.
Generational wealth. We'll touch base on that a little bit, but what I love about this family is, and I say family because they are all involved in the real estate world. Erin's husband, Steve, former Marine, is just a top-notch guy, right? He is the I don't know if he's the soft-spoken one, but I mean, on the flip side, this lady keeps the whole ship flowing forward. So
he's the silent but deadly, right? Part of the team. So he's the one where you can actually see the wheels turning, and he's always in observation mode and allows the rest of us to just be, kind of front and center. So make no mistake.
He's the Marine.
Yeah.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
That's
right. Tell us a little bit about the kids. I know Zach is a Republican state senator.
Oh,
Man,
gosh.
that is impressive. That is so cool. We need him to take over this world.
They keep me busy, that's for sure. So Zach is the oldest of 4 sons. He's married. He and my daughter-in-law, Carly, are both in real estate. They run a team. Zach has several investments. They have given us our only and 3 grandchildren, Grace, Logan, and Leo, who are the absolute light of our lives. And then Dylan is our second oldest, also a licensed agent. And he is a team leader down in the Rochester Market Center.
Wow.
So Zach, Dylan, and I work very, very close together in our leadership roles. Dylan just got married last September.
Fantastic.
Just closed on his first house last Friday.
I love it.
Son number 3, Cole, is also licensed realtor. And then the baby Drake is actually in the business now as well. So the baby. He'll forever be the baby. The poor kid is 27, but
I thought it was an actual baby.
yeah, no.
Well, I'll tell you what. 4 boys.
Yeah.
And a husband.
Yeah.
Talking about being able to move the family role into the business role, you have to be organized. You have to be on top of it, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know how organized I am. It's sort of, I don't know, it's chaos most days, organized chaos if there's such a thing. But when I got into the business 22 years ago, never in a million years would I have thought that the whole entire family would have followed me into the business. And I'll be honest, I fought a couple of them pretty hard not to do it. Because one of them in particular, Zach, was wanting to get in right in the midst of, when the market shifted the last time. And I'm so grateful now that none of them listened to me. It was one of those moments in time where they didn't listen to Mom. And I even fought Steve a little bit when he first wanted to get into the business because it scared the living daylights out of me having all of our eggs in one basket. And now I just couldn't imagine it any other way.
Well, just keep in mind, all of you out there, when she says she's been in the business for 22 years, now you can no longer get licensed at 15. I'm just saying, So tell us a little bit about your KW world, because it is amazing. I mean, obviously I've known you from Lakeville. Elaborate, tell me all your roles, right?
Yeah. So, when I started in the business, myself, the
Yeah.
first one to get in, I started at a different brokerage, and, I knew someone in the office, and I joined it, and it was a lovely atmosphere. I don't regret my time there at all. However, we had gotten to a point to where we had just hit the proverbial ceiling, right? And just didn't know where to go with our business in order to kind of push through that. And it was around that time that we were introduced to Keller Williams, and it took one meeting and we were all in. I think we had moved within 30 days. And, my only regret is that I didn't make that move sooner, just because it opened us up to an entirely different world, an entirely different way, of thinking. And it's really brought us to, where we are today, being involved in multiple market centers and running a couple of family teams. And, having been in the business 20 years, I've never been more invigorated and excited than I am today. And I think that says a lot for being in an industry for 20 years. It's
Right.
not Groundhog's Day every Monday morning.
Yeah, well, and that's why I love coming to the office, because I feed off these people that are newer to the business, but they're still energetic, and it just gives me more mojo to get moving.
Yeah.
So Woodbury,
Rochester. We have teams that run in the Burnsville Market Center. Yeah.
well, the leader or partner, I'm not sure exactly, you can correct me, is Todd Haig. This man is amazing because he has owned a number of different branches and has a heart of gold, but he wants to be in the background as well, right?
Yeah, we started our Keller Williams adventure, if you will, with Todd Haig in partnership in a market center that we're still partners in. And then my oldest son, Zach, went down to Rochester, was the team leader, became the operating principal down there, and I backfilled him in the team leader role. And then he was given the opportunity to become the operating principal in Woodbury, which is where I'm at now as the team leader. And then my son Dylan is the team leader in Rochester.
We'll chart all this stuff out for you guys just so you can keep all this straight. But we had a great friend of yours, Michael Olson, on here a couple weeks ago. How is that friendship? I mean, I know he is the broker here in Minnesota, and his personality is so fitting for what you are about too, right?
Honestly, if there was ever an ideal personality, for the broker role. Mike Olson is our Minnesota broker, but he just does a wonderful job of, well, first and foremost, he is a wealth of knowledge.
Right.
And that's extremely important, as you know, in a broker role. But his approach with our agents is wonderful. He immediately will ease any sort of anxiety that they might have when he's got to have one of those conversations with them. But he does it with care and candor and a little bit of humor.
Yeah.
So Mike is amazing. We absolutely love having him part of the team.
Give everybody out there your famous quote from Mike, which is classic.
Yeah, Mike often says he would rather keep you out of jail than get you out of jail. And it's true. And he does a great job doing it.
Yeah, well, and again, he's very similar to you both, you and Steve, and respect that his wife and him work tightly together.
Yeah,
and,
he and Lynn have a team in the office.
Yeah. So we're going to switch gears a little bit because we have over 900 people in the group. Because you manage these things, you're a team lead, you're a coach. What are some things that people are going through right now? Because this market is, I hate saying intense, but it's hard to win listings. It's hard to stay positive. Inventory is low, rates are rising. Although last couple weeks it's been good. So fill me in a little bit.
Well, I would say, this is something that we've been talking about for well over a year, the change in the market, that it was coming. Our thought philosophy is get ahead of it as much as possible, start lining up training, having conversations, getting, in front of our people to be able to have the conversations and help set them up for success. So really what it's about is, getting into the office.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, as much as I'd like to say, and we have some extremely, accomplished, intelligent folks that work for us, but real estate is not rocket scientists. Is it rocket science? So you don't have to be a rocket scientist, but as long as you have that work ethic and that tenacity, you'll be able to persevere in just about any sort of market you find yourself in, as long as you stick to the basics and you're consistent in your activities. So that's really what we preach and what we talk about is come in, surround yourself with people, be consistent in your activities. You know, I've seen a lot of really talented folks who have a ton of potential give up just before succeeding.
Right.
And it's because we're in that world where we want that instant gratification. And if we don't see it happen overnight, then we either want to throw in the towel or we just think it's not going to happen for us, when in fact, a lot of those folks are giving up just before pushing through and seeing that success that they desire.
You told me this term, it's being consistent, persistent, and probably most importantly, patient, right? Because it's that is a critical piece. Mike Bernier was on last week, and he had said one of the biggest obstacles amongst people, realtors, et cetera, is the ego, right? How do you coach through people's egos, because you can make some nice money in this business?
You know, one of the things that I love about Keller Williams is our agents run the spectrum from a production level. So we've got new agents, we have agents who run businesses that are sort of considered middle of the road, and then we have high producers. And honestly, because of the culture that we surround ourselves in and create within our market centers, our folks understand and know, whether they're someone who's brand new or a high producer, that they need to be found in rooms with people who are doing business well beyond what they're doing in order to meet and achieve the goals that they want to hit. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I just rarely, encounter that, because we're really protective of our culture and the type of environment that we provide for agents to run their businesses in.
That's absolutely gold, right? And I think that that's the key to moving everything forward, which is obviously recruiting-wise. How's that been? I mean, I see on Facebook under, constant people joining the organization, which is cool.
Yeah, now more than ever, your value proposition has to be really strong, right?
Right.
And so it's all about creating an environment where people feel that they can plug in and they're going to get the help that they need. It is not uncommon for an agent to walk down the hallway and knock on the door of one of our mega agents and say, hey, you know what, I have this listing coming up. I'm feeling really anxious. Do you have anything that could help me with that? And they'll hand over their playbook. They'll hand over their listing presentation.
Yeah.
So being able to provide that sort of atmosphere for agents of all levels of production is huge. They want to feel like, I have some that want accountability, and then I have others that want to just be left alone and be free to run their businesses as they see fit. And we treat them like the true entrepreneurs that they are and allow them that space. But then there are people everywhere in between, and they just want to know that when they need that support, that they have it and they can walk into the office and find it.
How many people in Woodbury?
We're nearly 200 agents in Woodbury. Oh. We've got close to 170 in Rochester, so just shy of a couple
170 in Rochester.
Can you believe that?
Because you started that. I mean, that was a.
They were just under 100, maybe right over 100 when I got down there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So
that's been a team effort. It's been a total team effort.
But that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm learning from you, from being the top between you, Steve and Todd, trickling down, because your humble, right, caring heart, that bleeds over to others. And I mean, that's a great trait.
Well, appreciate that. Thanks. I've learned from some of the best. I've had some great mentors.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, speaking of learning, because we talk about this often, you travel, right? You go to seminars, you learn, you read books. I mean, you've got some amazing books in that organization. You have to
travel. And as much as I would like to say that we put on, a really robust training calendar every month, you really need to hop on a plane a couple times a year and get out of the local environment, into a place that's, outside of what you're normally accustomed to, and rub shoulders with, folks that are doing things maybe in a slightly different way, maybe in the same way, but, they're bringing something different to the table and making sure that you're learning from others beyond just the folks who are, around
Minnesota
you every
crew.
Day. Yeah.
So I want to promote, because if you go to Erin's Facebook page, she's doing an amazing seminar today between 1 and 2. And I want to make sure I phrase this properly, but it's basically how to win the day with a powerful calendar. I mean, so often we just shiny objects, boom, boom, boom. Tell me a little bit about the class and what agents here can learn.
Yeah, oftentimes when, I'm meeting with an agent who's frustrated or feeling challenged, one of the first questions that I ask them is, show me your calendar. I want to see what your calendar looks like. And, with a really great calendar that you're adhering to more often than not, because let's face it, we're all human and no one's perfect. We're going to have those days where, we meant well, but we find ourselves at the end of the day having lost the entire day. But what we prescribe to is, time blocking and making sure that you're really purposeful with your calendar. And I find that just about any challenge that you're faced with in real estate can be taken care of with a calendar that is set up to address whatever that deficit is that you're finding in your business.
When you get thrown, because even in my business, in the mortgage world, you get thrown, whether it's a closing, whether it's a random call that came out of the blue, do you move those tasks forward or, they pile up? How do you handle that?
Yeah, we often say if you erase, you must replace, right? So you can't take it off of your schedule permanently or forever. You have to find place for it, whether it's at the end of the day, and that just means you're going to stay at the office an extra hour later, or maybe it's something that you take home with you and after you put the kids to bed, or whatever that is, your nighttime routine, you do it there, or it goes on the calendar first thing the next morning. But it's really easy to fall into that. Oof. I'm sure. I battle with it constantly. And so it's one of the reasons why I like to coach around it, because I'm actually speaking to myself when I'm speaking to the agents as well.
Well, this is so critical that I'm going to underline it, because I want you all to reach out and watch this, because I believe you can watch it on Facebook, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, so we do it live and in person. You can Zoom in, and we also record it. So we have a whole library of trainings and classes that we're happy to share with anybody who's interested.
Is the class in Woodbury?
It is.
Where is it? Okay, good. So touching base on another area, because you said you've got brand new agents, you've got very, very experienced agents. Do you find telling may be a wrong word. Do you do disc profiling? How do you determine what is somebody's mojo?
Yeah, so we do have a tool very similar to the DISC. It's called the KPA.
Yeah.
It's a personality assessment, strengths and weaknesses. We all have them, right? Sort of assessment that we have agents take, and we validate that with them and go over that with them. And then in addition to that, we'll sit down and business plan with them. What are your goals? What is your vision for your business look like? Why are those important to you? And then we sit down with them and build a business plan around that. And then the next question is, do you want accountability for what we just built together? And most of the times the answer is yes, and sometimes it's like, no, I got it from here, and we support that as well. So we support them wherever we find them, wherever they're at.
Yeah, and that is so cool, because with a lot of organizations, I want to make all the money. Just leave me alone and I'll go off. That's a hard deal to do in this business. I mean, this real estate and mortgage world is a tough business. Even though the paychecks are nice, it's hard to stay focused when you're losing offers, when you're not getting listings, etc. So I love that support.
I tell people all the time, we can provide you all the systems, tools, training, coaching you could ever possibly want, need, or imagine in order to be wildly successful. And we do. But the one thing that we can't provide you is that fire in your belly. Either you're going to show up and plug in and be consistent in your activities, or you're not. So at the end of the day, it is up to the individual. But if they have that desire and they have that work ethic and tenacity, there's absolutely no reason, in a shifting market or not, for them to not be incredibly successful.
Yeah, and you've got all the tools. And I forget, I'm going to butcher this quote that is behind your Facebook, but basically it sums up that there is one hurdle in life, and that is you as the individual, right? And I think that that's so true. So you don't encourage people to door knock, cold call, do open houses. There's a plethora of things that you could do to develop business. How do you handle that? Or is that a personality trait of theirs?
As far as the different types of things that they can
Yeah,
do to lead
yes,
generate,
yeah.
I am a firm believer and always will be in sticking to the basics. You mentioned the term shiny object earlier.
Yeah.
And that is so prevalent, in this industry, right? We're not getting the results that we see, so let's go try this. Or, I'm spending too much money here, so let's throw some money here and see if that works. So I am a firm believer in starting with the people who know, like, and trust you. Look at your sphere. Who are they? Are you having conversations? This, after all, is a relationship business. Make sure that you're networking with people, sitting down with friends, that are in other roles in other parts of the industry, and making sure that you start there. And then those other things you can layer in too. But I think part of the problem is a lot of agents do sort of like a shotgun approach, and they try and do 3 or 4 different things at the same time. You're not going to do any of those really well. So focus on one form of lead generation, get that down, get that systematized, get really, really good at it, then introduce another form of lead generation. Same thing with that, then another. And that's the best way, or the most sustainable way, in my humble opinion, to build a really great real estate business.
Well, I think social media is a prime example of that, right? Everyone hears video. Everyone hears Twitter and now the new competitor and all this. And we just got to be doing it. We got to be doing it. Well, sometimes that ain't your mojo, right?
Yeah.
So what is, and Erin had mentioned an enormous deal. Who do you know, or who do they know that they know, like, and trust you? That's key.
100%.
Because those are going to be those that are going to be calling you when they want to sell and when they want to buy.
Yeah, and why aren't we starting there? A lot of agents fear starting with their sphere and the people who know, like, and trust them. And I've heard them say before, well, I don't want to be that guy, I don't want to be that gal. Who better to serve the people who know, like, and trust you than you? Who's going to have a better vested interest in them succeeding or finding their dream home or selling their house so they can get on to the next phase in life than you? And I also find that people want to see you succeed. They
Yes.
want to help you. And so when folks come to me and they're fearful of having those conversations with those that they're closest with, we spend a lot of time working with them and showing them, why it's the exact opposite and why they should be spending time there.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what, there's nothing more painful, and I've done this for a long time, and I was that person. When I first got into this business, I didn't want to be, here I am, it's me. But I'll tell you what, wait till that somebody says, oh, I just bought, oh, I forgot you did it.
Worst feeling in the world. Worst.
It is just, it's absolutely horrible. Well, I want to touch base again. This is on you. How do people get a hold of you? Because you are just, the pieces that we have gotten out of this today are so good. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm pretty easy to find. Email is just Erin .Duckworth@kw.com. Cell phone 612-227-5610. I'm on most of the social media platforms. You can find me pretty easily there as well. I'm not hard to find.
Well, and the super cool thing is, like my last name, Wright, you've got an amazing name, right?
We do have fun with the name.
Yeah, just don't get ducked in this business, I mean, just, and I just absolutely love it. Well, thank you beyond being our Realtor of the Week this week. You came from, obviously, you drove a while to get here. So we appreciate you doing that tremendously.
It was my pleasure. Always great to see you, Mike.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that too. And tell Steve hi.
Will
And
do.
the rest of the family, and that's absolutely fantastic. So thank you all for coming to visit us this week. We are extremely excited with our guests next week that are going to be coming. It's going to be a mom and son combination, and so that's going to be very cool. But you guys can follow us on Instagram, and it's all one word, Realtor of the Week. But then also, please come and visit and follow us on YouTube. That is a little different because it's Realtor space of space the week, right? All spaced. We need your support, and we need all the new agents to come and join the Minnesota Realtors group. Because
You're missing out if you're not on there. Get on there.
I love this because you have so many nuggets, and sharing your knowledge like this is beyond. I'm grateful. So thank you, my friend.
You're very welcome.